Hello, everyone. How's it going? We're going to be discussing the new Game of Thrones today, which I have seen earlier this morning. Surprisingly, a lot better than I expected, but unfortunately, could have been a lot better. So, was it entertaining? The answer is yes. My wife also enjoyed it, but unfortunately, there were a lot of things lacking, and I'm really curious if those things bothered you or not. One of the great things, I guess, like one of the reasons that I would promote it is that the dialogue between the characters didn't look like mentally deficient people are having it. If you guys remember the latest seasons of Game of Thrones, especially the dialogue in the last season, it seemed as if it's between mentally deficient people. Like, the screenwriter does not know how to human. They do not understand how people interact. Nothing made sense. I mean, I remember the spider, right? Like the bald guy. He was living with the queen in her castle, trying to poison her. And there's this little girl bringing back the poison, and he's like, "Oh well, the queen hasn't been eating her food lately," and he's like, "Oh, that's okay. We're just going to try again next time." It's like, motherfucker, the queen is onto you. Like, get the fuck out of the castle. What are you doing, right? Like, nothing made sense. So, compared to that dialogue, this is gold. This is Shakespearean. The dialogue wasn't bad. I like the settings and the armor, as well as the cinematography. The CGI wasn't bad. So, all in all, it deserves a watch on the next episode. I definitely am going to watch the next one. But let's talk about the things that I didn't enjoy. The casting. Okay, like you definitely notice the American hallmark of the casting. And I generally don't understand why they're trying their best in order to make the women as less appealing as possible. And it's fine, you know, like you want to desexualize stuff. I get it. But then you show the big ass of Daemon Targaryen. You know, like he takes off his shirt. Like he's very muscular and he turns around and he's got like this big plump ass. And then like women everywhere naked around him and he's like, Right? Like that's the male sexualization that they're going with. And meanwhile, I'm looking at the ladies. And I gotta say, you know, compared to the Orville, right? Like, you notice that they go out of their way in order not to upset the people on Twitter. Because, like, every single American show has the people on Twitter in mind. Like, they are the targeted audience. Like, if you don't have a Twitter account, they don't even care about you. You don't exist. Like, you could give them money, you could do anything. You're not real for them, okay? Unless you have a Twitter account, then they care about you. Like, then you're a human being, and then they're like, okay, what do you want? And people on Twitter, like, they want the plump ass of Daemon Targaryen. Because the people on Twitter, I think they're all pro-LGBT or something. I don't know why. But, like, they like Daemon Targaryen without a shirt for no goddamn reason. Just like, pumping his muscles out there like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And at the same time, they want to desexualize women. I mean, look at this, right? Just look at this cinematography. She's got baggy eyes, right? Like, they do the best in order to plump her face as much as possible. Don't show any cleavage. Pull her hair all the way out. Like they're doing as much as humanly possible in order to desexualize the character. And then when it's with the male characters, they do everything they can in order to take the shirt off of them. It's like, show it to the audience, show it to Twitter. Twitter loves that. Now, I will tell you why this matters, okay? Because, like, oh, well, if you want to jerk off, then why don't you watch porn? That's what the people on Twitter say. But here's the thing. When you see a girl like this, right? Your male brain, like at a subconscious level, it goes into protect mode. Like, you're looking at this ushy lady, and it's like, I must protect. I must protect. So you instantly have a connection with the character just because she's pretty. I know it's unfair. I know, like, ideologically it doesn't make sense for a person on Twitter, but in reality, like, this is how humans work. Like, being a pretty person, being a beautiful person gives you so many advantages in life, right? Like, They keep talking about racial and gender privilege. They never talk about beauty privilege. Like, if you're a beautiful person, all of a sudden, doors just open for you. So, glad to see Abdi Muhammad in the chat. But, like, one of the main plot lines is that pregnancy bad. Alright, like, this is, like, what they constantly hammer through the entire episode. Like, pregnancy bad, pregnancy bad. Every time the wife of the king is on screen, she is there to tell you one thing and one thing only, that pregnancy is bad. Which, don't get me wrong, like, it's an interesting theme. But stop pushing it so hard, like, too much of a good thing. Like, I like the theme. Yes, like, during medieval time, life was very difficult for a woman. Like, dying at childbirth was a possibility. Having stillborns was a possibility. This actually makes sense, right? Like, it does make sense as a plot device, as a plot point. Yeah, like, she does. But every single time she's on screen, she talks about how pregnancy is difficult. And I was like, okay, she's gonna die. She's gonna die at childbirth. I was like, the foreshadowing is so fucking thick. It is so thick, you got, like, this lady is not surviving the childbirth. And the problem is, right, they want the audience to care. But this is the first episode. I don't know anything about this character. They didn't make any build up, right? If they would have made this character look like this, they wouldn't have needed build up. Because all of a sudden, like, if in the Orville, like, this character would have died, I would have been like, oh shit, because, like, the lizard brain, right? It makes a connection. It's like, oh, pretty woman must protect. Oh, she's facing hardship. I must help. Like, that's what the male lizard brain is telling you, right? But when you cast an actress that has absolutely, like, this is the casting choice, and they don't build her up like that. There's nothing there. Every single time she's on the screen, she's complaining. I didn't care, like, in the end, it's like, okay, well, that happened. And the concept is like, oh, well, look how hard women are having at childbirth, right? And I'm thinking, it's like, yeah, look how hard men are having it at the Joust. Like you had men having their face smashed in, you had men being stabbed and whatever. It wasn't men versus women. It's like, okay, but this is the medieval time. Like, everyone has it bad. It sucks, that's why we moved away from it. Medieval time is not so pleasant. So, that's my main complaint. Like, their casting choice, it seems that when they went with the men, I really like this character, by the way. Daemon, I think, is an amazing character. But when they went with the men, they went full titillation. And when they went with the women, they avoided this like the plague. They're like, nope. Like, I'm willing to bet, like, if a lady like this came to the casting, they'll be like, no, get out. We don't want you. And then it's also the makeup team. Like, every single time she's on the screen, that they're making their best in order to... I don't even know if I should say this Sexualizer, but, like, they're making their absolute best in order to make her as ugly as possible, right? So, puffy eyes, hair all the way up, puffy face. I mean, they're doing that utter best in order to make her look as plain as humanly possible. And I noticed this thing, like, parenthesis with Hollywood. Like, if you know women in real life, like, let's say you have a woman that has cellulitis on her leg, right? Now, what that lady will do is that she will always dress in a way so that the cellulitis is invisible. Like, she is going to wear long pants. She's not going to wear small skirts. She's going to wear maybe, like, stockings that cover it. Like, she knows that she's got cellulitis there. So when she takes a picture, she's going to Photoshop it. That's how women behave in real life, all right? Like, when I visit reality. But when I visit Hollywood La La Land, if they have a character with cellulitis, they go like, no, cellulitis is beautiful. She's going to always wear the smallest skirts possible. She's always going to sit with the cellulitis facing towards other people. Like, she's going to make sure that cellulitis is stuffed down the audience throats. That's not how women behave in real life. Or though maybe they behave at university or universities, right? Like, where they explain to you how to human. But like, in other parts of the world, like, women are aware. Men as well, like, for example, I know that I have a big belly. I'm not going to wear clothes that make my belly look ridiculously large, right? Like, I'm going to wear the type of clothing that advantages me, right? So when I'm looking at this, it's like, why didn't they use the makeup to cover her bags? Why didn't they use the makeup to, make her more feminine? But then you can say, oh, well, this is medieval times, so they're trying to show how women were like that. And then you see Prince Daemon, like big plump ass, like those muscular, that muscular chest, and okay, fine. So this girl, for example, they made a good job. Like she looks presentable, but whatever. This is just the casting choice. I just want to point out that the original Game of Thrones didn't have this problem. Like you had many beautiful actresses, Emilia Clarke. You had Sansa when she grew older, right? And then you have Marjorie. Like Marjorie was very beautiful. There was also that whore that went to King's Landing and eventually Joffrey killed her. I forgot her name, right? Like the original Game of Thrones had a wide array of beautiful characters, and I'm sad to say, but the purpose of a show is to get people to watch it. And if you have titillation, you're going to have the same success that e-girls find on Twitch. Okay? Like, it's important. I know people don't care, and like most Americans cringe and like, oh my god, you're complaining about this. Yeah. I'm complaining because I want the show to make money and I want it to be successful. So having eye candy on screen gets people to look at it. Anyway, why do you expect women in low fantasy setting to look like 21st century makeup artists? Because Game of Thrones originally did it, and it was great. Okay? And it's also a movie. Like, we're going to talk about the things that don't make fucking sense, like the tourney, right? So the tourney, to me, made absolutely no fucking sense. The tourney in a medieval society is all about sport. Like, it's not an actual combat situation. It's just sport. Now, did people die at tourneys? Probably, right? Because it was a very dangerous sport. I mean, people die when playing American football and soccer and stuff. Like, it can happen. But we're talking about the noble families, right? So, you have these people there jousting. And at one point, the king's brother cheats, right? Because this is cheating. Like, what he does is he lowers himself and attacks the horse's legs of the other guy, and the other guy falls down. Now, I don't see anyone else doing this shit, so I assume that this is an irregular move, which probably is because back in medieval time, people really care about their horses. So, doing this is cheating. Now, initially, I assumed that the reason he cheats is because he's the king's brother. So, nepotism, no one is going to talk shit against him, whatever. But then another person cheats. And this is where everything just becomes weird. So there's this guy, he wins the joust. And as he's turning towards the crowd and he's like, oh, I won the joust. The other guy comes from behind, grabs him off the horse, pulls him down and starts beating his shit. And eventually kills him. And I'm thinking like, why is no one stopping this? Like, when you watch the original Game of Thrones, you saw the Hound and the Mountain, like, doing the exact same thing, right? So the Hound beats the Mountain gets angry, cuts off the head of his horse, and then goes towards the Hound and attacks him. Or sorry, it was like Prince Laurel or whatever the fuck. And the king sees that, and the king says, in the name of the king, stop this madness at once, right? So he stops them because it doesn't make sense. Like, this is a sport. It's not like a free-for-all. Because, like, think about it. Who are the people that are fighting? They're the sons of noble houses. Now, imagine this. Imagine you're a noble house that fields maybe like 10,000 soldiers, right? Like, you got like 10,000 men-at-arms. And your son goes to the capital at a joust. He wins the joust. And the other guy, being salty, pulls him out of the horse and kills him. You are now honor-bound as a house with 10,000 soldiers to go after the other house, and you're now having a civil war. Like, that's what would happen in a medieval society if you tried pulling this shit. And not only that, the people that were watching were encouraging the bloodlust, and it's like, yeah, kill him. Arr. And I'm thinking, these are your sons that you're watching, right? They're not like some slaves. Like, if this was the Roman Empire, and you're having slaves doing the fighting, yeah, go like, kill it, makes sense, because they're not attached to those people. But these were like the sons. I mean, the king's hand is watching how Prince Daemon is cheating and is beating the living shit out of his son. And instead of stopping the tourney, calling the guard, he just sits there and takes it. Like, this makes absolutely no sense. And again, like, initially, I thought, oh, it's because it's the king's son, right? Like, it's the king's brother, right? So it's because it's Prince Daemon, he gets to do this shit. But then you realize that everyone does this shit. Like, it makes absolutely no sense. It sounds like American politics. Yeah, a feast for violence. Well, you know, like, the thing is, they are trying to create a caricature of what medieval time was like. Like, I'm not against having violence in medieval time. There is a time and place for it. But these are the sons of noble houses. Like, if you're the son of a noble house and you want to joust, and the other guy from another house just pulls you out of the horse and then starts beating your son, there is no fucking way that the father of that knight is going to take it. Like, he is the lord of a castle. He's got a military, right? Like, he's going to go to the king and demand justice for what happened. Why do you love my hair? I just came out of the shower. Shut the fuck up. The Game of Thrones world is extreme. Yeah, but even the extreme world had rules. Alright, like this is the same. Like, if people were playing today, right? I don't know, like, let's say they're playing soccer, and a couple of players from the field just grab the other guy and starts punching, right? Like, it makes no sense. But I can prove to you it makes no sense. There is the fight where the prince versus Knight Cole, they go at it, and Prince Daemon loses the joust, right? Like, he gets pushed out of his horse, and then it's like, oh, the prince wants to continue this on foot, and he pulls out a sword. And at this point, I'm wondering, like, why the fuck would they even continue the battle? Like what was the point of the joust? So, like, if you lose the joust, you get pushed off the horse, and then you just pull out the sword, right? Like, did the joust not even matter at that point? Like, what are the rules of this tourney? Do you see what I mean? Like, the question is, can you sell this to an audience? Because that's the question, right? Like, all of this shit is for entertainment. I don't pretend to be on EFAP and go like, oh, well, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Okay, this is for entertainment purposes. Can you sell it to an audience? The answer is yes. Like, I see many people in the audience who enjoy this shit. So if you can sell this to a modern audience, then good. I guess it made its part. I, as a person who likes history, was watching this completely baffled. I didn't understand what the fuck was going on. Like, the whole thing is like, let's show violence on the screen for no fucking reason. Like, literally, that's it. The reason why it worked in the show was because the character doing was extremely strong, so nobody but the king there to stop. Oh, get the fuck out, dude! Like, this is the whole thing with prisons, you know? Like, sometimes you have a convict that is so buffed and strong that he thinks the laws of the prison don't apply to him. No matter how strong you are, 4 or 5 people can pin you down and beat the living shit out of you. Alright, like, we don't have real-life Goku. We don't get, like, real-life Superman. Right? Like, there are people trained to stop others. It's like, oh, well, he's so strong, no one has the courage to... No, fuck that shit. Like, the moment you have one person, let's say he is a very strong individual, alright? 3 other people can take him down. If 3 is not enough, 4 people can definitely take him down. Like, 4 people just lounge at him, especially if we're talking about the medieval society where people are used to close combat. You know, like 4 guards, they just immediately go there. And you don't even need guards that are strong, right? Like, they have crossbows, they have bows, like that. They can just say, like, enough. Stop this shit. The king was waiting for his child to be born. Yeah, I guess, like, this was what they were going with. It's like, when men do violence, it's spectacle, like, it's something that is done in public, and everyone cheers, and everyone claps, but when women go through hardship, which is childbirth, like, no one knows, right? Like, it's something hidden, and no one understands their struggle, and no one understands how difficult it is to be a woman. 3 people in riot gear against 1 unarmed man. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but even then, it's like people are saying, well, the king wasn't there. Yeah, but the hand of the king was. And the hand of the king was looking at how his son was getting just beaten because the opponent was cheating. And the hand of the king couldn't just stop it. Like, he could have just put an end to it, you know? He didn't have to, quote-unquote, arrest Prince Daemon, but he could have said, like, okay, well, you're breaking the rules of the tourney, right? Like, that would have been in character. The thing is, like, it was a missed opportunity, because what they could have done, and I get what they were going with. Like, they wanted to show that Prince Daemon doesn't really care about the rules, right? Like, he gets to do whatever the fuck he wants. Which would have made sense, and it would have been for great character building had you not have the other knights also do whatever the fuck they wanted. So, like, the guy that just pulls the other knight from the horse and then starts hitting him with an axe. You know, like, that had no place in the scene. It would have been a much better scene had you just had only Daemon breaking the rules and only him cheating. And, you know, the moral would be that he is such a privileged twat that he is taking advantage of his position as the brother of the king, that he gets to do whatever he wants. And on top of that, when other people break the rules, he is very merciless, and he has no respect for that. So that could have been a much better character development, right? But, again, when you see other knights just... When you see other knights just doing whatever the fuck they wanted as well, that made no sense. Like, completely destroyed that opportunity. So, yeah, I mean, the episode was great overall. Well, we're going to get to that. Because so far it's just like criticisms that come chronologically, right? The thing that I genuinely didn't like is the main character. Like, I think you're supposed to like the main character, but, like, what exactly are her likable traits? Like, what exactly does she present that makes you want to root for her is what I don't understand. Like, her whole shtick is insert strong woman plotline, she wants to become a knight. And I'm like, why? Why the fuck do you want to become a knight? You know, this is something that most modern American writers forget to explain, right? It's kind of like the same badly written villain, like he wants to achieve world domination, and like why does he want to achieve world domination? You know, it's important to actually ask these questions, like, why do you want to do what you want to do? It's kind of like, I had a female friend who wanted to make money, right? Like, she wanted to get a PhD to make more money, and I asked her, it's like, why? And like, what do you mean why? Because I get more money. It's like, yeah, but like, if you ended up without a job, wouldn't your husband take care of you? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so do you want to have children? And she's like, no. So it's like, why do you want to make money? Like, what is the purpose? What is the end goal, right? And here is like, she wants to be a knight. I mean, think about Batman, right? Like, why does Batman want to be Batman? Because he doesn't want other people to suffer what he suffered. Like, he doesn't want other people to lose their parents. So that's why Batman is Batman. Like it all has a justification. Why is Spider-Man Spider-Man? Because with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility. Like, that's what makes an interesting character, like having some motivations. In her case, why does she want to be a knight? What is so glorious about being a fucking knight? Like, if you're a rich noble, right, and you're born in privilege, you can just do whatever the fuck you want. In her case, especially, because her dad isn't trying to marry her off or anything, right? So she can do literally whatever she wants. She doesn't have to go to war, which is incredibly brutal. I mean, we're talking about medieval society. Going to war is something horrible. I mean, she sees, right? Like, she gets to see the jousting. She sees all that violence and all of that. Why the fuck would you want to be there? Right? Like, usually, the men, like the knights, they are there in order to gain social status, right? Because that's the only way you gain social status. You go there and you prove yourself and you show that you won the joust and you get social status to win the attraction of this. That's why the men do it. She doesn't have to do this shit. She doesn't have, like, she can literally have a skip button. So why does she want to be a knight, right? So I genuinely, like, do not understand why I should root for this character. Like, what exactly does this character have? Which is great. Oh, she's greedy. Okay, since when are we supposed to like greedy people? Since when are greedy people likable? I'm not saying that, like, it doesn't make sense of why she wants to be where she wants to be. But what I'm saying is, like, why should I like her as a character? Like, I like Ned Stark because he was honor bound. I like Jaime Lannister because he was trying to change. Okay, like every single character from Game of Thrones. I like Tyrion because he was smart and he was intelligent and he knew how to manipulate people. Like every single other character in Game of Thrones that was likable had reasons and qualities to like them. What are the qualities of this chica? Huh? Like what exactly is she doing that makes you want to root for her? I'm genuinely, right? So this is why I think it's a badly written character. In fact, like I can't think of many characters that actually have qualities. But anyway, right? So the plot line is that instead of like wanting to be a knight, right? Like you want to go with the strong woman plot line. Great. How about like she criticizes the way things are run in the kingdom? Like she notices things that are being done in the kingdom that she thinks she could do better. So she wants to gain the throne in order to achieve peace for the realm. Like, how about that? Wouldn't that be a much better and more likable scenario? Right? Like she would find some accurate criticisms. Like maybe she notices corruption. Maybe she doesn't like the way that the other nobles take advantage of her father. Maybe she doesn't like give me something. Give me something. And she wants to gain power. Like she wants to ascend the throne so that under her more peace can happen, right? Like she wants to give the people of Westeros a better life. That would actually make for an interesting character. That would actually be a good, but like there is no reason. Like no, she wants to be a knight because she's a tomboy, I guess. Arya Stark was a tomboy, and Arya Stark was actually a likable tomboy, right? Because like she just didn't enjoy doing girly things, right? Like Arya Stark didn't want to become a knight. Arya Stark just enjoyed doing boyish things because that's what she enjoyed. So she is fighting swords with the butcher's boy. She is, like trying to learn how to fight swords. But like, at no point did Ned Stark was thinking, yeah, I'm going to make Arya Stark a knight. Yeah, or a soldier. Like, he was just entertaining her hobbies. Like, to her, doing boyish things was part of a hobby, and they were trying to entertain that. But at no point did Arya Stark want to rule Westeros. Like, she didn't want to just rule, Winterfell, right? The coasty writers do not understand the idea of a woman wanting to be a mother. The Marxists just want to destroy the nuclear family. So, the thing is, I disagree with the fact that they really went against the motherhood concept, because even though every single time this lady is on screen, she's complaining about pregnancy, she does mention that she finds it difficult to see her sons ending up dead, right? Like she had like 2 stillborns, I believe, another miscarriage, and she just can't handle that grief, right? So I like the plot line. It's not bad. I get it. Especially like she had, I don't know how many pregnancies, right? And it doesn't come off as mean-spirited or anything. Like it is relatable. I don't know how it's like for a mother to see so many dead kids. Like that is something that I genuinely get. The problem was that it was so thick. Like, they keep stuffing it in your throat. Every single scene that she is in, there is no character building. There's like no likability. Another example, right? She doesn't do anything that you like her. And if you want to go with this character, then cast someone that looks like this. Okay? If you cast someone that looks like this, then automatically the lizard brain goes like, oh, pretty woman must protect. Like, must make sure that she doesn't face hardship, right? So, that's what you would do. But instead, they casted her. And when she died, I was like, oh, well, I mean, it was expected. Like, I already knew it was going to happen because it was the foreshadowing. And let's talk about her death, right? So, during for those of you who haven't seen the episode, she experiences complications at childbirth. And then they cut her open, right? Like, while she was alive. I don't think they actually did that in medieval time, to be honest. But let's discuss it. So, the show does a really bad job explaining how much the king cares for her. Like, they would have needed another episode before this so they can build up the romance between her and the king. Because the way I viewed it was like the king was just... You only realize that the king cares about her after she's dead, right? Like, after she's dead, then the king starts mourning, and that's pretty much it. But, like, before that, especially the way it was presented, it was almost like the king just doesn't care. Now, secondly, the choice that the king was presented wasn't a choice at all, because the doctor goes to the king and says, well, sometimes during a difficult pregnancy, the father must make an impossible choice. Either save one or lose both, right? So, what is the choice? The choice is you don't do anything and they both die, or you try to save the son. Because they don't have, like, the medical technology that we have nowadays in order to save her, right? Like, but the way the show kind of presents it, I guess, is that the king is a misogynistic pig, and he's like, no, the son is important, pull it out. Just pull it out, I don't care if she dies. Just yank the son, yank my son out of her. But, like, from a medical standpoint, there is literally no way to save her at that point, right? Like, they don't have the technology required to save her. Like, if the child is in a position where they literally can't pull it out, and, you know, she is suffering, like, if they don't do something, then the baby dies inside of her. The baby starts to decompose, right? Like, it becomes necrotic flesh. Her body goes into shock, and she dies anyway, so they both die. Like, that is not even a choice. I guess, like, the choice... Okay, maybe I'm wrong now that I'm thinking about it. The choice is, do you want her to suffer an agonizing death and try to save the son? Or do you want them both to die and she gets to have a normal death, right? So, basically, like, give her more milk of the puppy until she kicks the bucket, and then she doesn't have to be cut open alive, right? So that would be the choice. Like, do you save the son and you cut her open and they don't have anesthesia, they don't have anything, or do you give her milk of the puppy? But like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think they were definitely trying to make it sound like the king is a misogynistic pig because he only cares about the son. I think that was it. But it didn't come off good because, like, there's no way of saving the mother at this point. Like, so that was the pregnancy plotline, which I think is like the whole episode is like pregnancy bad, pregnancy man. And then I'm supposed to hate this guy, right? Like, for some goddamn reason, I'm supposed to hate him. Like, maybe I will, but not after the first episode, because the man didn't do anything wrong. Like, literally didn't do anything wrong throughout the entire episode, except being a drunkard and having a loud mouth. But other than that, right, like, he had a point. Like, if the king organizes a jousting tourney where all of the nobles from the land are gathering, and your city is filled with rapists, thieves, and murderers, if the visitors from the tourney, if the lords get raped, murdered, and stolen, like, it's going to reflect on the king. Now, people keep forgetting this is a medieval society, right? Like, they can't have the concept of prisons. There's not enough food to feed people for doing nothing. Like, the concept of prisons is an American thing. Like, before prisons, people were either suffering corporal punishment or they were sent to the mines. Like, that's how the law was done. If you were to somehow transport the concept of a prison to medieval time, everyone would start committing crimes because everyone would want to go there. It's like, oh, I don't have to plow the field anymore. I don't have to plow the field, and I can just go in a prison, and they will feed me, and they will give me clothing, and they will put a roof over my... Sign me up, right? So, this is how things were done in medieval time. Yeah, you stole, you either got lashes, your hand cut off, or something like that, you raped. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, feel sorry for the rapists for having their ball sacks cut? Like, at which point do I need to feel sorry for the criminals here? Right? So... if they wanted me to believe that he did something bad, why not have the situation where the family member of someone that got maimed comes up to the king and says, look, my son was wrongfully accused. Like, he wasn't even in the capital. We just arrived. And all of a sudden they rounded him up and they cut off his head. Right? Like, do something like that so that it shows that his ways are unjust. But, like, what he did was completely justified. Like, from the story of the movie is that he actually was tough on crime. And not only that, but from my understanding, the crime rate actually went down when he was in charge. So, no, like, this is actually a likable guy. I'm sorry. Like, I the only thing that he did wrong was talk shit about the king. That genuinely made no sense. Hello, Daryl. What did you click on, huh? Prison includes forced labor. No, you're talking about a concentration camp? I mean, it depends, right? But, like, in most prisons, you don't have to do forced labor. And even then, like, what do prisoners do in the United States? Like, what forced labor do they do? Do they work in the salt mines? Do they descend in the depths of Moria and they're fighting orcs? Or do they do, like, I don't know, like handcrafted shit that the prison then sells? They plant flowers and stuff. Anyway, right. When in the timeline does this take place? I think it's 150 years before the first Game of Thrones. So nothing that happens here like they can go wild. Like, anything they can do is probably not going to cause any plot inconsistencies. They put out fires for $1 an hour. Oh, that's horrible. Can you give the mother heroin milk without killing the baby? Depends how much you give. And especially, like, okay, so first of all, this is a problem during labor because you can't really give whatever you want to the mother, right? Because, like, anything you give to her, you also give to the baby. So painkillers and stuff like that is very difficult. But I guess, like, the way they justified it is that they were giving it to her dead and, like, immediately doing the birth. Probably why the baby died, right? Like, probably why the baby died is because they gave milk of the puppy to the mother. But I don't mind that plot inconsistency because it's not an inconsistency. I mean, we're talking about the medieval time. They weren't, modern doctors. They didn't have a fundamental understanding of how things work. So it is justified from a plot perspective. King of Morocco pardoned 500 prisoners for looks. Well, this is actually something that happened in medieval time quite often. The concept of pardoning prisoners, like you would either have like a holiday, Easter, Christmas, stuff like that, and the king would make a justification on why he should pardon prisoners, or you would have a celebration, right? Like the king makes 40 years of age, or someone else becomes king and ascends the throne. Like, this was actually a problem in Romania, which Vlad the Impaler fixed. A lot of kings would ascend the throne because of corruption. Like, the nobility was very keen on playing the Game of Thrones and getting a lot of kings to abdicate. So every 5 years or so, there would be a new king. And because of that, the dungeons constantly opened and they let out all of the professional criminals, all of the murderers and the thieves. And the country became very dangerous because of it. And then Vlad the Impaler, what he does is he organizes a great feast where he invites most of the townsfolk. The guards were selecting the people that were either beggars, thieves, or criminals, and was keeping the other folks away. And then he locked the doors, set fire to the place, had riders run around it and shoot anyone that tried to escape. So apparently Romania, Wallachia became a much more peaceful place after that interaction. All right, so what else we had here happening? I think there was something else that I wanted to discuss. Give me a second so I can. Oh no, actually, this is it. Right. So all in all, here's my take. At the end of the day, this is what EFAP doesn't understand. When they talk about logical inconsistencies and stuff, and many other YouTube reviewers. What matters is like, can you sell it to the audience? Right? Because at the end of the day, movies are made to be entertaining. They're not meant to be reality simulators. So, for example, James Bond, like the villain on an island that has the doom laser. Can you sell it to the audience? When the original James Bonds were made, I forgot when. I think like 30, 40 years ago, right? Like back then, most people didn't have access to the internet. Back then, most people didn't have the knowledge required to know whether or not on a mysterious island, someone with a doom laser can exist. So the answer is yes. Like back then, you could sell it to the audience. Could you sell it today? Absolutely not. Like if you make a James Bond movie today where you have like this rich Klaus Schwab individual that makes a doom laser, and he locks James Bond on a table with a slow-moving laser as he leaves the room so James Bond can escape. Like if you do that, no one is going to believe you, right? You can't sell it to the audience. That's what is the core essence of a movie. So can you sell this to the audience? Absolutely. Like most people do not understand what medieval jousting was. They don't really understand the implications of like someone just being brutally murdered in a joust. They don't understand medicine so that they know that the choice the king made wasn't a choice at all. It's like, oh, dude, because someone might say, oh, well, it's such a misogynistic patriarchal time, like the king chose the son rather than saving the mother. But in reality, they didn't have the technology to save the mother. Like, I definitely don't see what they could have done in that situation to save the mother. So, yeah, like the king didn't really have a choice. Are people fed up with this strong woman ideology where she just wants power for the power's sake and like there's no redeeming qualities or anything? I don't know. I guess like most people are willing to overlook it. Do people care that much that there aren't beautiful actors anymore and like this is completely removed and instead you get to see the ass of Daemon Targaryen and you get to see his very muscular Greek statuesque chest? But when it comes to women, they make sure there's no cleavage available. There's, like every single makeup and every single clothing choice and attire choice is done so that it completely removes femininity. No, I don't think like most people care, right? So all in all, I think the first episode was kind of strong for the general public, even though I found it to be mediocre. Like, I didn't think it's boring. I didn't think it's bad. It was entertaining. I would watch the second one. I hope the second one is better. But it's definitely not like the first Game of Thrones. Like, the first episode in the first Game of Thrones, I had none of these criticisms. I couldn't complain about any of this. It was a very immersive world. I genuinely love it. So, my point is, like, if you're not a fan of medieval history, if you don't understand medicine, if you're not... someone that looks for a little bit of eye candy in your shows, then you're definitely going to like this. Like, you don't have many reasons not to like this. But if you're a person that is into that, then you might not find this episode to be to your liking. So that's my assessment. That's my honest review of the first episode. In the books, the king loved Rhaenyra and she badly wanted an heir. Yeah, but like, they didn't show that. Like, that's a problem. They didn't show that the king loved the wife. They only showed it after she died. Like, at the first meeting is where you see the king upset. And you're like, well, why are you so upset? Because up until this point, you didn't care. You'll watch anime. Oh, I see. For normies, they would accept anything entertaining. I disagree. Like, I see that even normies are having a hard time accepting many of the Hollywood tropes now. Like, I do see that the normies are getting fed up with American culture. And instead, they are opting for South Korean movies like Squid Games, The Kingdom, or anime. Like even the normies are having enough, and you see this with DC Universe, like DC Comics canceling a lot of movies. Like they canceled Batgirl recently. They canceled, I think, another woke trash, and of course the progressives are livid. And my question is like, why are you livid? You're not putting money into the project. You're not, having stocks into these companies. So why are you upset? Squid Games is a badly redone manga. It doesn't matter if it's badly redone. It does go to show just what a huge drought when it comes for entertainment exists in the West. Like, people want some entertainment so fucking bad that they're willing to watch Squid Games and be absolutely enamored by it. And again, like, Squid Games is not bad or anything, but it's not at the level of quality to make it worthy of being like the top on Netflix, So it's kind of, it is what it is. I don't know. I think that if Squid Games came out 20 years ago, it may not have been the commercial success it is today. I just bought season 1 to 5 of Game of Thrones. Jesus fucking Christ. Why would you do that? You could have donated a super chat to me, and instead you bought season 1 and 5 of Game. Well, you know what? I take it back. Like, season 1 to 5 of Game of Thrones is actually good. But after that, it's when you're going to have the buyer's remorse kick again. So yeah, like this new show, you can watch it side by side. Like, it's just different characters. It's a different storyline. You're not going to require to see Game of Thrones in order to see this, or vice versa. I stopped watching movies around 2010. Jesus. Dude, there's a lot of good movies that came out from 2010 all the way till today. What the fuck? Anime has been getting more and more sanitized, though. Yeah, it is unfortunate, but you are absolutely correct. On the other hand, you have, like, in the West, independent comic creators, like, the black guy with the beard, what's his name? I forgot. He's got a little bit of kerfuffle with PayPal now. But he made I believe more than $1 million with his comic, and from what I understand, his comic is good. So you might see the rise of independent comic creators in the West that are going to create good stuff. Ripaverse, that's his name, I forgot. Yeah. Hello, Rosalhim. Yeah, July. Yeah, Eric July. Yeah. He, and like him, there's many others that are making good comics, and they're actually being like a small level of renaissance in the United States right now. In fact, like, I do notice that most of the AAA industry is just dying. I mean, when I say that the AAA industry is dying, like, go on Steam. Go on Steam and look at the AAA games that are on sale, and you'll see that there's almost nothing new. Like, there's almost nothing coming out. Okay, let me show you. So, popular upcoming. I got Guild Wars 2, popular upcoming. Midnight Fight Express. Primal Flame. Like, besides Guild Wars 2, nothing is a AAA game. Right? Like look at this. Look at this, chat. Wonderful Boy. I mean, this is kind of cute, don't get me wrong. But it's an indie game, right? Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. It's not Western. Steam Deck, alright? SD Gundam Battle Alliance, indie game. Roar of the Godworm. Cult of the Lamb, indie game. Devil May Cry is a AAA, but it's Japanese, right? Where's the Western? Where's the Western triple games? There aren't any. There's like what is the last AAA Western game which came out? Which is the last one that you remember, huh? I think Guild Wars 2 is coming out with an expansion or some shit. But seriously, like, what is the last AAA game which came out that you guys remember? Like, what is the last one you purchased? Let's think. I'm genuinely trying. I'm struggling here. Chat, I'm struggling. Assassin's Creed? You can't go wrong with that, right? Spider-Man Remastered is not a new game. I'm sorry. Sniper Elite. Dude, the fact that I need to think. You say good, no more money for them. Oh, the joke's on you. They make phone games now. That's why they don't make them, right? Because they make games for the smartphone and they make money off of microtransactions. Doom Eternal, get the fuck out. Dying Light 2, okay. Yes, so Dying Light 2, which was okay. When did Dying Light 2 came out? Because it seems like an eternity ago. So my point is, right, like the AAA industry is fucking dying. Dude, like in 2010, like there were 3, 4, maybe 5 AAA games which came out every single fucking month. Like every single month you are bombarded with video games. And you don't get that anymore. So you do have indie games though, like you have the Neko game, Stray, which is very good, fully recommended. You do have, let's see, what else you got? You got Cult of the Lamb, came out, very good, right? So you do have like indie games which are now coming out and they're good. Not all of them, but some of them are really great. Elden Ring is now Western. But yeah, like Elden Ring would probably be like the last AAA game that came out. Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy. Who the fuck cares, man? Ghost of Tsushima. When was that? Wasn't Ghost of Tsushima like 2 years ago? Why are you talking about games that came out when my grandmother was in diapers? I'm not being dramatic. I'm being realistic. Like, you notice that the AAA gaming industry is suffering majorly. Like, there are AAA games coming out. And the ones that are absolute shit. Finish the Nyan game. Well, look, the way I consider playing games or not is how many people are watching. Like when I played the Nyan game, people didn't show a lot of interest, so I'm not playing it. Simple as. Elden Ring is Asian. Yes, it is. 7 Days to Die. Why would I play 7 Days to Die? Okay, meh. Explain to me, like give me the reason why I should play 7 Days to Die. Hold on, chat. Look, I'm going to give Meh moderator status. So now Meh, he's got a wrench. Make your case, Meh. Why do you think I should play 7 Days to Die? Why do you think my chat would enjoy seeing me playing 7 Days to Die? What is to gain from watching me play 7 days? Please make your statement. I'm literally curious. You know, every now and then when I talk about video games, someone like drops the most esoteric, autistic shit that I should play for some reason. Like they think that you guys would enjoy seeing me playing 7 Days to Die. Why? Because it's a great game. Okay, fine. How many do you think from the chat would like me playing it? Do you think I would have more than 30 viewers watching me if I play 7 Days to Die? Like, if I want to kill my channel, I would probably consider playing 7 Days to Die. And then I'll filter 3/4 of you. Holy shit, play 7 Days to Die. My fucking god. You know, like, and out of all the fucking games, out of all the freaking games, why would I play that one? I will never see spurging out. If I want to spurg out, do you know what I would do? I would play 7 Days to Die. That's what I would do if I were to actually spurg out. Do a poll. No, because people are not going to vote seriously. Especially not after this rant. Like, after this rant, every single person is going, oh yeah, you need to play 7 Days to Die. But you guys would be like social justice activists. You would make me play that shitty game, and then no one would watch it. Jesus fucking Christ. 7 Days to Die. Yeah, 7 days to kill my channel. Holy shit, that would actually be the best stream title ever. Like 7 days to kill my channel. Oh my fucking god. I mean, there are so many other games. Like, okay, look. This is the rule of streaming. 4x games do not bring views. 7 Days to Die does not bring views. You know, I take it back. There is Lumi. Like, Lumi Neko, yeah, like, she manages to play 4X games, and for some fucking reason, she gets people. Even when Arch plays 4X strategy games, he gets like 100 views, right? Lumi Kaneko gets like 500 freaking views while playing SpaceX game. How the fuck does she do it? Is it the booba? I don't think it's the booba. No. I want to see you play more Tiny Tina Wonderland. Well, the joke's on fucking you because I refunded that shit. I refunded that shit faster than I purchased it. And there's no fucking way I would spend my money to buy Tiny Tina Wonderland. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, I'm so thankful that Steam allows you to have a refund. I remember when the progressive journalists were freaking the fuck out that Steam allows people to get a refund. Yeah, it was definitely an awful game. Just dreadful. Dreadful game, chat. Stay away from it. Tiny Tina Wonder. What do you mean, what the fuck? Why? What? Why would I give them my money, Entropic? Why would I pay for that garbage? It is disgusting. What do you mean, what's wrong with it? I don't know, it's genetic cringe shit. Like, I would have back issues. You know, like when a progressive sees a pretty anime lady and goes like, ouch, her back. If I see you play Tiny Tina Wonderland, I would be like, ouch, your back, because you cringe so hard, you're like this is how you are when you play that game, you know? It's like, you're like Quasimodo. You're like Quasimodo the moment they start making jokes in Tiny Tina Wonderland. Christ. The level of cringe. First time I had to turn off the stream to go away. First time was during the Vitiligo vampire game. I don't think... Oh, yeah. Oh, holy shit. That game. Yeah. The Bloodlines. Oh, my God. Better game papers, please. I want to see V raging, getting things wrong, and receiving a... Well, the thing is, like I noticed, I'm trying to gain my subscribers now, because I told you the tear jerking story, and I'm pretty sure every one of you had a tear coming out of their cock as you listen to my misery, where I used to have 500 and 600 concurrent viewers every single stream. At any hour out of stream, there's like, boom, 500 people watching. And then I went like, okay, well, this is too much. Maybe I should just start streaming irregularly. Maybe I should start deleting streams. Maybe I should censor myself and not make edgy jokes. And now I'm at 200 viewers, right? So I want to get a little bit higher. I need to do a little bit of consistency. I need to find things more funny. Maybe change the stream elements a little bit. I'll figure out ways. But my point is, if I start playing Let's Plays, if I start playing video games, from 200 viewers, I'll get all the way to 50. So I'm trying to avoid that shit. It's also the competition. I mean, why would people watch me when they can watch an Ushikushi anime girls, you know? So, I get it. I really get it. But what the market says is like, don't play video games. So the only time I will play video games is when I find a new game that I think it's cool and interesting, and I want you guys to check it out. Right? So if that's the case, if I find a game that I'm like, okay, well, the chat might like this, and they probably don't know it exists, then I will play it. Play a really slow-paced and thoughtful strategy game. Yeah, no. How about no? I would rather just read the news. How about that? I'd rather just do what's popular. Why don't you stream video games on your entertainment channel? Because that's not for streaming. If you mix streaming with video content, the algorithm doesn't like it. So I keep it all separately, right? Like the other two channels are videos only, video formats, and this is the only one for live streaming. Have I tried wearing revealing outfits? You know what? I never thought about that. Maybe I should, though. It doesn't matter because you're left with only the elite viewers. Like, the people who leave are people you can get rid of. Dude, that is the social justice mindset. It's like, at the end of the day, you know, YouTubers are operating a business. Like, you want to entertain people, you want to put on a good product, but it's still a business. Like, the idea of losing customers, just pissing people off for the sake of pissing them off, and making sure that, oh, well, you know, I will remain with only 10 viewers, but those are going to be the elite. No, don't do that. Like, that never, even if it wasn't a business, even if I was to do this shit for free, right? Like, even if I would have been, you know, I just stream because, because it's 2010 YouTube. Even then, I wouldn't just be like, oh yes, well, I need to get rid of my viewers. I don't like that mentality. Yeah, maybe this is why Sticks X and Hammer has so many viewers. Like, he does go shirtless. I don't think that my channel is being shadow banned, by the way. I definitely don't think that's the case. I think it's the content. I think I should be more entertaining. I think I should get more guests. Anyway, right. So, that's my review of House of the Dragon. All in all, I guess it's a good popcorn TV show from watching the first episode. But I don't think it raises itself to the quality of the previous season of Game of Thrones. I think like the previous Game of Thrones was a lot better. I think that because at least the first season was a masterpiece. And I find it difficult to think that House of Dragon is going to rise to that level. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm wrong. Again, it's just been one episode, right? So I might be wrong on this. Like, maybe the next episode is going to be more interesting. But so far, kind of meh. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.